Wrestling Tournament, March 5th through the 7th, this coming weekend. Let's take a look at this matchup. Again, Fred, as we've got a good one coming up. 90, or I should say 103 pounds. Let's take a look at the two wrestlers that we have coming in. We've got Brian Longacre, a Cardinal from Eudora. He's a junior. He was a regional champion at Effingham. He's 22-3, going against Jason Post, a ringneck from Hill City. He was the regional champ at Colby and the Mid-Continent League champion as well. So it should be a good one. They've had impressive tournaments to date.
I'd say if we were going to have to pick a favorite here, we'd probably have to put the finger on Jason Post because of past experience. But anything can happen in the state finals.
And we'll keep an eye on some of the scoring, but we'll try to watch what these guys do. And getting in here so far, Post has had a technical fall and a 4-1 win, and then a fall in the semifinals over Portoff to get to this point. Portoff, let's see, the wrestler from Silver Lake. So he's had a good tournament, 30-2 coming in for Coach Brady Beek.
He's had 3 straight falls, and of course Longacre looks like he's not going to back off from him just because he's pinned a few people. Got him off the mat. How
intimidating is a record or a reputation in wrestling?
Well, it just depends on the kid. Sometimes he'll look at another fellow's record and say, "There's no way I can beat him." And other times he'll look at a record and say, "Who cares?"
Well, the young man from Eudora on top, and he scores first.
And now we got a reversal by Post. Still inside. Call him off the mat again.
We mentioned you're an official. Worked the regional at Junction City. We've got some good ones at this tournament. Kind of a pat on the back for them. How tough is it to officiate something like this?
Well, once you get used to it, it's not all that tough, but it's kind of exciting and it's kind of stressful sometimes.
All in the same breath. Going to the mat is Longacre. Again on top will be Post.
Okay, Longacre's trying to get to his feet and get out here, but Post is riding him pretty well.
Is riding time, or I should say being on top like that, is that hard to coach to keep that guy down? Because obviously he's going to try for that escape. How tough is that to coach a young man?
Well, evidently it's considered probably the easiest thing to coach, because staying on top and riding the men can get you called for stalling a lot of times, and they used to give riding time points, and they don't do that anymore. So it's not as important as it used to be, but it's still quite an art. It's pretty tough to do sometimes.
We're in the first period of this championship match at 103 pounds. Again, it's 2-2. It was Longacre scoring the first, but a reversal by Post tied this match up as his coaches watch on us do this whole big crowd at Gross Memorial Coliseum watches on.
See, a year ago, that first takedown would be important if they went into an overtime. But this year, we've got a new overtime situation, which is kind of a sudden death. And that's not as important now as it used to be.
In the past, each takedown was counted if you had that overtime situation.
And Longacre's come out almost. He couldn't get his hips away there. He'd have been at least a 1-point escape, but he got his hips tied up and couldn't get out. And Post is pretty much able to stay back on top now.
We don't know a lot about Brian Longacre, but he comes from a good program at Eudora, as we said, a junior. His head coach, Brian Krause, shouting instructions to his wrestler. These guys traditionally are the underclassmen, but on occasion you'll see somebody like a Longacre who's a junior stay at this lower weight as he goes up in class at school.
Yeah, generally as a boy gets older, he grows and he gets too big to get down to this weight class. And of course, every now and then you find somebody who loses the weight to get there anyway.
10 seconds left in this first period. It's a tied match between these two guys.
Post trying to go for the stack there. He's trying to pull that arm under the gut and turn the man over to his shoulders and get a couple of points for a near fall, but it wasn't able to do it.
Well, both these guys are strong underneath. They've been able to keep anybody from turning them over, and looks like it's going to be quite the matchup. Jason Post again, and Brian Longacre from Eudora. Post from Hill City, just a sophomore. Another one of those fine wrestlers for Brady Beek and the tradition at Hill City. It was the Mid-Continent League champ, as we said. Took third at the Panther Classic, and this is his second time to a state tournament, so he's well on his way.
Yeah. We're starting the second period on our feet. That's something that came in just about 4 or 5 years ago. Used to be your only choice at the end of the first period was top or bottom, but then they gave the man who won the choice the right to choose top or bottom or both men on their feet, or he could defer to the other man. And that's exactly what Post did here. He deferred to Longacre, and Longacre, of course, having scored that takedown early, decided he'd like to start on his feet again, maybe get ahead again. And he's gone in for a good double leg there. If he can get his head up, Post, he's got him. There he goes. That was a well-executed double leg takedown. And here comes Post with an old-fashioned switch. Can't get his hips out far enough to make it work.
Well, he just couldn't sit out wide enough, could he?
Got to get those hips out of there and get some distance between your hips and the other man's shoulders in order to make that work.
Well, Post couldn't get the takedown as he shot for the legs, and it backfired as Longacre got the takedown.
And here he comes. The switch finally works. That right there's a good example of what a wrestler needs to do. He needs to hit it once, hit it twice, hit it 3 times, hit it 4 times, and then eventually it's going to work. And that's what he did there. He got it on his 3rd shot.
Tied it up 4-4, so this has been a flip-flop match. 52 seconds left in the second period of the 103-pound category of this state championship. It's a good one, 4-4. Again, Longacre of Eudora in the blue, Post of Hill City in the black and ringneck red.
We're going to come back in, start over in the middle again. Went off the mat.
42 seconds left in the period, a tie score. Again, they've been scoring by 2s, back and forth, and we'll see how Longacre can work from underneath.
He hasn't had a lot of success with that so far, but a lot of wrestling yet to go. You know, it doesn't seem like 30 seconds is all that long, but a lot of things can go on in 30 seconds. Post is working right now on that tip again, trying to twist him over there and not able to do it. Looking for the cradle, but it's not there. I think maybe he's just going to be content to ride right now.
10 seconds right out the period, maybe. Tie score 4-4. As we finish up the second period, as you anticipated, he's up almost out of bounds, and he did make it with 1 second left, so boy, these guys look so young, but the intensity that it takes at this early age to put this type of run together, there's a lot of devotion and hard work to be a student athlete at the high school level.
A lot of pressure on boys to do well in these tournaments. Sometimes it comes from the family, sometimes from the school, sometimes from themselves, but there's just a lot of pressure out there.
Well, it sure is, and right now the pressure's on. 2 minutes between a state championship or second place. Both will get medals, but I'll tell you, once you get here, you don't want to settle for anything but first. 2 minutes left, tie score at the end of one. It was 2-2, and it's 4-4 as we start our third.
Okay, Longacre took the optional start and cut him loose there, hoping that he could give up the 1 and get the 2 and at least get a 1-point lead that he could maintain. So Post has gone in. He's trying for that short fireman's carry underneath there. And now he's going to go for the drag by. Good run through by Longacre. He was lost there, but he was able to get his feet out and keep going. Now they're going to call him for stalling, I think. Nope. He's been backing up a little bit, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him call a stall on him.
Well, right now, Post from Hill City out in front.
You notice the one official just went over and talked to the other one. I would suspect that, knowing Bob there, that's exactly what he was talking about. You don't want to be backing out of there. You want to be wrestling forward. The rules of wrestling are that you got to go forward and you got to make an attempt to wrestle. And if you start backing up, you're going to be in trouble.
So a little strategy by Longacre in this third period to start it off. He's trailing 5-4. Minute 14 left in this third period.
Now he's going for that headlock. It's dangerous. Dangerous, and he lost it. He tried for that headlock, looking for the 5-pointer. And if the guy gets his head down, sucks it into his shoulders, that headlock's hard to use.
Boy, he did gamble, so a little strategy backfires as he gave him the 1 point on the escape to work from his strength. I guess the standing position couldn't quite at least deliver yet with 58 seconds left in the match. 7-4, Post of Hill City going for a state championship.
Now what Longacre had hoped for there was a 1-for-2 trade with a 1-point lead, and he winds up with a 3-point deficit. Now he's forced to get up and get out of there and get away and get a takedown, or at least turn Post onto his back. Got a good sit out there. He's turning in, looking for that Granby cradle. He's got it locked up. Now if he can just raise himself up and make it work, he'll have that, but he loses the leg.
Again, the cradle meaning just wrap and roll, right?
Well, what he was trying to do there was get inside that one leg with the one arm wrap around it, take the other arm around to the knee, and raise up and lay over on top of him. Here he comes with a switch. Then a re-switch by Post.
7 seconds left.
Longacre can get that inside hand out. He's going to have a 2-point reversal, but he's tied up too tight. I don't think he can do her.
Boy, that's a good way to start this championship flight.
Good match.
He was on the verge, wasn't he? Almost had it.
Yes, sir. That was a good match.
So the winner at 103 pounds, again, Jason Post of Hill City, as he raises his arms. And a good effort by Brian Longacre. He gambled, but it didn't pay off. And Post again goes to 31-2 with a 7-4 win. It was very close early on.
Nobody can walk away from that match upset. That was a good wrestling match. Both boys did a good job, and one of them had to win.
Boy, it was a nice match by Post, another state champ for Brady Beacon, the Hill City Ringnicks. Post just a sophomore as he picks up the first win of the tournament. Again, in third place at 103 was Sewell of Caney Valley, and Smith of Hoisington took fifth in this tournament. So let's move on to the 112-pound weight class. Again, we'll keep you appraised of the